Welcome to Savor the Story podcast, where books and snacks are life. I'm Nicole.
I'm Vanessa.
And this is episode 6.
Yes.
So we just had a discussion about how I keep saying which episode number it is, and it's going to get ridiculous. So
it's also going to get to a point to where we probably don't remember, and so we're going to have like 5 seconds of like, where are we?
Like, this is episode 154. Wait, 3?
Wait, we don't know.
I don't know. Whatever.
Who knows?
So someday I will transition out of that.
Yeah.
But for now,
it's okay. Whatever you want to do is fine.
I'll take it.
Okay.
So, Vanessa, how was your week?
Oh, goodness. It was okay. I don't really have a lot this week. The only like big highlight I think for me this week was that I played volleyball.
Oh yeah. Yes.
So I'm trying to join a women's volleyball league. But I literally haven't played probably since like 2012, maybe 2013, something like that. And so I had this like overwhelming fear of like, am I even going to be able to play anymore?
Do I remember how to do this?
Right, exactly. So I made one of our coworkers who I'm trying to play with in the league. I made her go to the gym with me this week and just like pepper around and play a little bit. And to my delight, it came right back. So That's good. But yeah, really. Oh, and also in this endeavor of mine, I've found that in my now age, I bruise like a peach. I've had bruises on my forearms all week.
That's lovely.
Yeah. So let's hope that I just like get used to it and it doesn't happen during like the whole season. Otherwise, I'm going to have to invest in some long sleeve like workout shirts so that I can wear them all the time at games and stuff.
Not just workout shirts.
Oh, sure.
Work shirts, life shirts.
Right. Everyone. I'm just going to have constant bruises on my forearms. It's going to be great.
And various stages, you know what I mean? Because like by the time you get to the next week, like your bruises are going to be like green and like light blue, and
they're like yellowy right now. It's really gross. It's not my favorite. So let's hope that doesn't like happen forever. But it was really, really fun. I was like super excited to get back out and play volleyball, and I can't wait. I think the season starts like the beginning of October or something, so I still have like a little bit of time. But I'm super excited to hopefully like get on a team or at least sub this season so then I can get on a team next year. Just all around excited. But that's cool. Yeah, that's really all I have to report this week.
It's the highlight of the week.
It's the highlight of the week. Everything else was just kind of like, meh, whatever.
Yeah. I was same seas. I was trying to think of like what to tell you that I did this week, and I was like, man.
We had some really boring weeks this week.
Yeah. So week was slow. We came back from the cabin last weekend, so we were like almost recuperating from that because you just like all the inputs all the time. So your body's like, I just need to relax. And then Mike thought he had to work this weekend, and then like found out at the last minute that he didn't. So we had like
That's
already
good
said
news.
like, so he was happy about not having to work, but it also, we cleared a weekend of stuff because we thought he was going to be. So, I mean, we went to an Oktoberfest celebration near our house and had some German beer, and I ate a bunch of snacks, which
nice.
I won't tell you about.
Okay.
But it was pretty much just like a slow week with lots of time to clean and read and
this weekend there was the popcorn festival was right down the street from our house. We did not go to it though, because on Saturday Tim ran 27 miles, and then on Sunday he ran 17 miles, And both of those, he was like an hour or so away from the house. So like putting all that time together, I basically didn't see him this weekend. So there was really no time for us to go to the popcorn festival.
Wow, that stinks.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it took away one of my snack opportunities.
Yeah, Tim's really being a drag. You should run to the festival.
Right.
So that way you can have popcorn, and then
that's right.
He can run home.
That's right. How was so tell me all about the German Fest.
It was just like a small local one. That's
okay.
So it wasn't like the Ohio German Fest or anything like that. It was just like the city one that we live in. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. I forgot. I was so disappointed. Everybody had their dachshunds there.
Oh, really?
And, yes, I saw probably 25 dachshunds. It was ridiculous.
You didn't take yours?
And I didn't take Remy, no, because I was like, I don't know. Like we've been there before and I don't remember seeing people with dogs. So I was like, oh, we can't take Remy. And then we got there and I literally wiener dogs everywhere. And I was like, Mike, we have to go home and get Remy. And he was like, no. We're not doing that.
That's unfortunate for Remy, but that's really cool for you that you got to see so many cute puppies.
I know. Like I said, there's like 25 of them.
Wow.
And none of them wear the black and tans like Remy is. So
oh, really?
It's like, yeah, he would have been unique, but also it was cool to see all the other different coats that the dachshunds have. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and like I said, Mike drank like the big stein of beer. He had a couple of those, and I had a couple glasses of wine, and they have all their snacks. I don't think we got any German food though.
Oh, okay.
So we'd already eaten because I had made something.
Oh.
And that I will talk about in a minute. I had made those things that I had sent you a picture of, and I was so full from eating like 100 that I seriously have a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you want to tell me about your snacks?
Oh, do you have time?
Oh no.
So I think my snacks, I have a lot of them.
Okay.
And the only reason I'm going to talk about all of them is because they have a theme.
Oh.
And it was not an intentional theme.
Okay.
I think it's a seasonal theme, to tell you the truth.
That's a good, yeah. I mean, I feel like fall is an easy one to just like go right into. Like, here's all of the fall snacks.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not pumpkin.
Okay.
It's a different fall flavor.
Okay.
So I made, from an ice cream perspective, I didn't even think about it, but I saw caramel apple cookie dough, like the stuff like at Kroger. So I bought some of that, and I bought caramel protein, and I made caramel apple cookie dough protein ice cream.
That sounds delightful.
It was amazeballs.
Okay.
Like, I finished it, and then I immediately made more. So I will eat more tonight.
Okay, great.
They had cider apple donuts come out at the grocery store, so I've probably eaten about 30 of those this week. I found apple cheesecake cookies, which...
Ooh, that sounds good.
I ate those. And then you sent me that Instagram video of the apple rings that are like, you cut up like an apple into slices and core it and then cover it in puff pastry and put like cinnamon sugar on it. And I made those on Sunday, and I know I sent you the picture, and I ate a lot. Mike ate more. He was like, these are the best things I've ever had. I bought caramel sauce, and I poured that over it, and it was just like, I have a problem. And it's called eating.
I was going to say, with eating snacks or making them?
Yeah, both, I guess. I don't know. But, well, so that was all the apple-themed snacks.
All of those sound great.
Yeah, and then there was like, because it's the first week of football season, something that we do in our house is on Sundays we don't cook. We just make a smorgasbord of snacks. And every week it differs a little bit depending on how we feel, but like this week I had like cheese and crackers, and I made like seven layer salad. No, it's that Mexican 7-layer salad. So it was like,
okay,
and then I had sushi and dumplings. And
those don't go together. You just literally have like everything.
Okay, everything. It was so delicious. I ate so much food yesterday. But I did run yesterday, so you
balance. It's all about balance.
Right. So I think I balanced the football snacks.
Okay.
Probably not the thing of ice cream and the 30 donuts and all the cookies and the apple rings. Those.
That's okay. It's fine. We won't count those.
Right. Can't win it all.
Fall snacks don't have calories.
Right. Yeah.
We'll go with that.
At this point, nothing has calories, the way I keep saying that.
That's right. Exactly.
So,
I also made those apple thingies. I didn't tell you that I actually made them, but I did.
Yes.
And they were really good. I did not put caramel on them though, because I don't really like caramel that much. And Tim he got home. It was on Sunday. You just made a face at me.
I did make a face at you. I made a face at you because when you were like, I don't really like caramel, I immediately thought back to, I rate my books in caramel sea salt. I was like,
okay, so there's a difference.
Oh, okay.
I like sometimes I like the flavor of caramel, and those sea salt caramels are delicious, but I don't really like the caramel being drizzled over other things. Like, that's the thing that I don't really like. But either way, I made those, and it was on the day that Tim got home from his 17-mile run, and he was ravenous, and he was like, I'm just gonna eat, and he ate like 4 in a row without even like thinking about it, and he was like, you're gonna hide those from me, aren't you? But it wasn't like he was asking me like to do it, because he was like, I'm gonna eat them all right now. Yes.
Please do this.
So yeah, those were actually really good. And then I also made this is why I don't bake. I made pumpkin spice muffins. They were not good.
Oh.
I made them from a box.
Oh, okay.
And the reason they weren't good is because I left them in there too long. So like the bottoms were a little burnt, and they were a little bit dry. They weren't really great. And Tim did not have that problem. He ate like 7 of them like immediately. So clearly I can like mess up, and he's like, these are fantastic. I think I ate like 1 of them.
You like took a bite and you were like, not what I want. Put it back.
No. So I'm gonna try those again at some point, but maybe a different brand. Maybe watch them more.
Be more attentive to the snacks.
Yeah, I'm not good at it. That's fine. But neither of those are my snack this week.
What?
We ordered food last night, and the restaurant has Rice Krispie treats as a dessert that you can order, and I for sure ordered it, and I ate it, and it was Rice Krispie treats are my rating this week.
Nice. Yes. I do love a good Rice Krispie treat, especially when they're still gooey and soft.
It wasn't as good as like a homemade one, but it was still hit the craving.
Right. Well, I mean, there's something to be said for not having to make it yourself.
That's very true.
Sometimes that balances that out, homemade versus not having to do it. So.
Right. So of your 1,200 snacks, which one is your rating this week?
I'm thinking maybe just apple rings.
Okay.
Just say apple rings, and that way maybe I'll remember.
It's all of it.
Yeah. It's all encompassing, all the apple snacks.
Yeah. That sounds great.
So
Are we ready to get into our books? All right.
Sure.
Okay. So I read 2. And I had really good luck this week with books. I'm very, very excited.
Aww.
Okay, so the first one is another sister book club book. Were you surprised?
No.
This one is called This Is Our Story, and it's by Ashley Elston, and she's also the same author as the Lying Woods that I read last week, and then she's also the author of First Light Wins, and so we've had really good luck with her, and so we decided to go with another one of hers, and she did it again.
Wow.
So I actually, both my sister and I rated this one 5 Rice Krispie treats. So, okay, so for kind of both of my books this week, before I really get into them, I actually have a question for you. I have a couple questions for you, and they kind of apply to like my ratings this week. So first, do you have a hard time giving books 5 stars?
Yes.
Okay. So I do too. I feel like another question that I wrote down to ask you was, do you feel like do you fear getting judgment for giving a book 5 stars?
Yes, of course.
Because I feel like that's where my like apprehension of giving books 5 stars is like, I'm so afraid that the people who are like, this book sucked, are going to be like judging the hell out of me because I said it was 5 stars. And I know we've kind of had this conversation before, but do you think that there's like a right and a wrong time that you can read a book, and like whether or not you read it in a certain time of like your mindset or whatever it is, like it can change how you rate the book?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know I talked about that last week a little bit with that one, or 2 weeks ago with that one book where I was like, not time.
Right.
So
I think that was kind of the case for both of my books this week. I think I was just like, my mindset was right for both of them. I was just like, everything lined up. And I think both of these were just kind of what I needed. So I don't know. I feel like this one specifically, This Is Our Story, I'm giving it 5 Rice Krispie treats, and I don't care who says what about it.
It's funny.
Okay, so I'll tell you about what it's about first, and then like what my thoughts were.
Okay.
So it's a group of 5 boys that are best friends. They're in high school, and they go out hunting, and one of them is killed on the hunting trip. And there were like, when they see their friend laying down, all of them kind of like throw their guns on the ground. There's 4 shotguns and a rifle, and it's clear that he was shot with the rifle, but nobody wants to admit to which one was holding the rifle. Okay, so the whole story, the whole book kind of goes through the fact that, so the boys made a pact with each other that if one of them doesn't get in trouble, none of them can get in trouble, right?
Yeah.
And so it could all just be like, it was an accident, and then that was that, and then nobody gets in trouble. So the whole book is kind of like about what they're going through, like how they find out who actually did it. And whether or not it was on purpose. And then the story, though, is actually from the point of view of this other girl named Kate, this other girl that's in high school, and her name is Kate. And she goes to the same school now as the boys. And she, as like a senior work thing, she works at the district attorney's office and happens to be with the prosecutor that is working on this case. Wow. And so she kind of like you learn through her like all of the witness testimony and all of the like evidence and stuff like that. So whatever. Honestly, I think that's the only part of the whole book that makes me feel like this is interesting that this high school girl who is going to school with the people who might have done it is just handed over all of this information, is like, watch these interview videos, watch whatever, like
yeah.
So that part was really the only part that was a little like questionable for both my sister and I. We kind of had the same thoughts on it. Other than that, I think like I loved it from beginning to end. I loved it. Was like the intrigue was there the entire time. I actually didn't figure it out, like who the actual person was early. Like it was kind of a surprise when they finally revealed like who did it. There was like another little twist in there. You find it's like a twist that you find out early, and it's not major, but it's like a twist that's like, oh, hey, I didn't see that coming. Like, so that was really good. I think like all the characters were great, like all the side characters, everybody just had, I felt like had good personality, had like something to them. And so I just really, really enjoyed it.
So I have a question if you have a break.
Yeah.
One of the things that I struggle with, I won't say it's against mysteries. I think it's just me. But one of the things that I struggle with in mysteries is like, I think, what is it called? Like red herrings, when they're just like throwing things out to like lead you off the trail. Is there like a lot of that, and that's why you didn't guess it? Or is it like you didn't guess it because like she set it up real good?
I think she set it up really well. I also think that because from the very beginning, it could have been any four of them, right? Because they were all in the woods, and each one of them kind of has their own reasons as to like a motive, basically. So there's motive there for all four of them. There's opportunity there for all four of them. So it's not really that she's like making you look in all these different directions. It literally is like, it could be any one of them. And then you just kind of slowly see them like, yeah, they made this pact, but how long does a pact last when there's a murder conviction coming, right?
Between high schoolers.
So I think that it was less so of like, hey, look over here. It was more of like just how the story built itself made it a little harder to pinpoint which one it was. So I would absolutely recommend that. And it was a fairly shorter one. I think I always say that, but I think it was like 9 hours or something. So it wasn't super long. But I would absolutely recommend it. And I'm pretty sure it's included in like your Audible account or whatever, your Audible, whatever it is.
Unlimited or not unlimited, whatever their version of unlimited is.
It's included in that. So you can listen to it for free. Nice. So I would recommend you do that. You, the proverbial you, not just you, Nicole. Okay. My second book is called The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches.
Oh, I saw you started this book.
Yes, and it's by Sungu Mandana. I looked up how to say her name because I wanted to make sure I got it right. And this is actually a book club book for me. Oh. So I decided to do it this week because the day this episode comes out is the day our book club meets. So I wanted to make sure I aligned that. So I also rated this one 5 Rice Krispie treats.
Jeezy Pete's, Vanessa. You can't have 2 5-star books in a week.
No, I got really lucky this week.
What kind of podcast is this?
I'm gonna leave the negatives for you this week.
Oh, thanks.
I'm sorry. So I feel like it was super, super cute. It was it's set in England. I didn't even write down what it was about, so I'm just gonna have to tell you off the top of my head.
Right.
So
could it be about a society of irregular witches?
Yes, a little bit. So it's this main witch. Her name is Mika. It kind of follows her story. And in this world that they live in, there's like a bunch of rules about witches. Like they can't be around each other for too long because the power is too great. And they live in a world where like witches aren't super accepted. So it's not, so if there's like they're not allowed to tell people that they're witches and stuff like that. And so basically what happens is she is brought in to help some little witches, like some kid witches. And then the story just kind of goes around that of like her helping them out and ultimately like what happens there. But it was super cute. So after I read it, and my fear of rating it 5 stars got to me. I went online and was looking at a bunch of reviews, and there was quite a few people who said that it was too twee. And apparently twee is like a British term, and it's described as being excessively cute, often as an insult.
Okay.
Which
nice.
I guess I can understand. It's a very like cozy, like cute book. There are some like higher stakes in it, but ultimately like it's cute, it's nice, it's fun. There's a little bit of romance, there's a bunch of magic, it's literally just adorable. I don't know how else to describe it other than a cute, cozy book about witches, magic, and found family. So if you like any of those things, you will probably like this. It's I think like just over 300 pages, so it's not like super long or anything. But then the one thing that I wrote down because I thought it was really funny, or cute or whatever. So one of her
twee.
It was very twee. One of her like magical abilities or whatever, something that she's like really good at is she makes different tea. And so, but she'll make it for something specific. Like you can have one for luck. You can have one for sleep. You can have one for bravery or whatever it is. Like, and so she puts a little bit of magic into the tea, and then it gives you like that quality for a short amount of time. But one of the ones that she makes is for when your uterus is up to its usual tricks.
Nice.
It made me laugh. I was like, I think I need that tea. Thank you.
Yes. Why has nobody marketed this yet?
Right. So yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot for me to say about it because I feel like a lot of the information is going to be spoilery for it. So really, like, if you like found family, if you like magic, if you like the small town, if you like, all those things, I think you would enjoy this book.
That's so twee.
It's so twee. I think we need to change the meaning because everything online made it sound like it was a bad thing, but I want to say it was a good thing that it was twee.
Well, the definition on this podcast is slightly altered.
We can take it and make it American.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Sure. So that's it for me. I feel like I have less to say about my books when they're 5 stars.
Strange.
Yeah, interesting. So yeah, that's my books this week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I was trying to think because you gave me 2 books that I could tie into mine. So I was trying to figure out which one to talk about first. And I think I think I'm gonna go with your comment. Like, I get all the bad ones. I'm gonna start with my least favorite and work my way up. I think.
Okay.
So
I like this plan.
Yeah. Okay. Until I tell you which book it is.
I know it. I already know it.
So let me first say I didn't hate the book.
Okay.
So I read Shadows of Viridia this week. Mm-hmm. And if you guys have listened to the previous episode, Vanessa has already read this 3 book. Right. So you read this book, you reviewed it. So I'm not going to go over the book again. Go back and listen to episode 3. So
that's right.
But basically, I picked it because I think in that you rated it pretty high as well.
4.5.
Yeah. So, and we went to the same book event and same people. So I decided to give it a try too. So like I said, liked the story. It was a good story. I know you said it has like divergent feel.
Yeah, it's very divergent. Yeah. I don't think I said that in the episode, but it was definitely something that I had like written down.
Right. Yeah. I know when we talked about it, you said it had like, it was close to the story or the book Divergent, which I haven't read, so it didn't matter to me. But so I gave it a 3.
Okay.
And the only reason that
Did you only give it a 3 because you were like, I want to be nice to Vanessa?
No, and the author. No, I'm just joking. I gave it a 3 because I liked the book. I liked the story. I knocked it down a little bit because, and I know I've told you this before, and I know you don't have the same problem as me in this, but a pet peeve added to my list of pet peeves is in fantasies when somebody is like lives forever or is eternal or whatever, hundreds of years old, and they fall in love with like an 18-year-old who is obviously immature and has no life experience. And they're like, oh my gosh, you've changed my life. I love you. We have so much in common. And I'm like, how? I'm 40 and I don't have anything in common with an 18-year-old. How do you have something in common at 400 years old? And I know what the answer is. We all know what the answer is.
What is it?
Oh, it's because it has to do with her pants.
So listen. I feel like we've already established that my fantasy life started with Twilight. And in Twilight, he's like over 100-something years old and he falls in love with an 18-year-old. I feel like I am primed to just be like, I accept this.
This is a normal thing.
This is what happens. So now in everything I read, I'm just like, yeah, this is what happens. Who cares? It's okay that he's 1,000.
This is normal. I get it. Yeah.
You just have to accept it.
I'm just gonna someday I'll get used to it, but for now it's still a pet peeve.
Okay.
But no, the book specifically though, for this one, minus the pet peeve, one of the things that I took away from it was I wasn't a fan of the interaction between the female and the male leads. And I felt like they fought like children. Or like high schoolers and children, I guess. And I felt like the fighting was put in there so that way it facilitated the enemies to lovers trope. Like, I didn't feel, I mean, some of it had some substance, but like it just felt like the same fight over and over. So
I mean, I can see that. I can understand that a little bit without getting like too spoilery for anyone who chooses to like read it still. I feel like some of that is what you said, like it's just trying to build some of the enemies to lovers thing. But also I feel like there has to be conflict somewhere, right? And I don't know who else she would really fight with. Right. Yeah. And so there has to be some sort of conflict and somebody there to like help her through all the other stuff that's happening. So Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we have acceptance for different things in fantasy books. I feel like our
tolerance levels
for the different, like, I don't know if it's tropes or different things that happen in fantasy books commonly. I feel like we are complete opposite on what we accept and what we don't accept.
That's true.
But that's okay.
Get both sides.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Second book.
Mm-hmm.
This one was called Nancy Wake, and it's biography.
Okay.
So written, so I listened to this book. It was an audiobook. And at first it was kind of weird to get used to because it's a biography. I was expecting a biography, but it was intermixed with like conversations. So the author
like interviews or
no,
okay,
like of the people who were like Nancy Wake and the people she was interacting with at the time that like that she was experiencing it. So like he would be like, you know, when he interviewed her, the way he explains it is like she's telling me about all these things, but he interviewed a whole bunch of her like compatriots as well. So like the story is telling the story of how she did XYZ, but then they're also interspersing like conversations that were had during that time frame. So
okay,
I'm not used to biographies like that. It was weird at first. It took me a couple chapters to get used to. But it was a really great book.
Good.
It ended up, so Nancy Wake was like a spy or a resistance member during World War II. She was actually, her nickname by the Germans was the White Mouse. But she started out as a, I guess, resistance member. So she's actually English Australian. So she born in England, lived in Australia, I think, was in France, and she met this French industrialist who she married, super rich guy, and they live in France about the time World War II starts, and she dips her toes into the resistance world basically because all these captured forces and all these people, she helps prisoners escape. She helps people get out of the country, and she's basically doing this funded by her husband. And his, because he's that, super rich. So he's basically just giving her money, and she's using that money to like grease skids and get people out. So it's kind of like not like, I don't want to say not true, but like I don't think she considered herself to be part of the resistance at that time. She was just like helping, her fellow British out, so right. So then she finds out that the Germans are close to finding her, or they're on her trail. They know it's her. She's being watched. So she escapes out of France through Spain, and she goes back to England. Well, she gets there, and they're like, hey, you were in the resistance. You did all these things. You know French really well. We'll make you like a SOE operative, and we'll send you back in there, and you can lead a resistance group. So that's what they do. They send her back in. They airdrop her in, and then she's in charge of like 7,000 resistance members.
Okay. So can I ask a question?
Yes.
So in the beginning, was she working on her own? And then now she's like part of this team?
Yeah,
or
basically.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
like I said, she was just kind of like, I don't want to see my fellow, compatriots like being treated like this. I'm going to help them get out, and she's like, using the money that her husband gives her to buy black market food and, distribute it out to like people that she knows and, stuff like that. And then when she comes back, she's the one doing like the logistics for like helping the British and Americans do logistics for airdrops, bringing in people, spies and stuff like that. So it was a great book. It ended up being a great book. Like I said, the audio first couple chapters was weird to get used to because of the conversations I wasn't expecting, but it ended up being a great book. And I ended up rating it 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I say that with like I would say 4 to 4.5 apple rings.
Okay.
I really like that book.
Good.
So the next 2 books.
You gave that one 4, 4.5, and you're rating them in order of your liking?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why when you're like, you can have all the bad ones, I was like, I don't have all the bad ones. So, this is a duology. The next 2 books are 1 and 2 of a duology. And I thought about being sneaky and sneaking the second book into next week because I finished it last night.
Okay.
At like late night. So I was like, I could sneak it. And then I was like, no, I'll just do it.
Okay.
We'll do both.
Nicole doesn't like to lie about when she read her books. I have no such qualms.
You will know. So, but
okay.
And on top of that, the fact that I read book 2 right after book 1, I felt had to be brought to the forefront because
you don't do that.
I very rarely do that. Like,
I'm so happy.
Barely. That's not even a thing for me. I'm usually like, meh, I'll figure it out later, or I'll read the description for book 2 and that'll tell me enough. Nope. This one, I was like, I have to know what happens.
Good. I love this for you.
So this book is called Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy Lynn. I think it was a Kindle Unlimited. So, but like I said, it's a duology. It's called the Book of Tea series, and this is book 1. And I read this one so fast. I was done with it within like a day. Because I was like, I have to know what happened. So,
okay. This is very surprising for you. You don't usually have that.
Right. I know. Usually I'll get through it when I get to it.
Yeah.
But similar to the Very Irregular book, book that you were talking about earlier, when you were like, oh, her magic is this. I was like, oh, we read very similar this week because that's basically what this book is too, as well. It's
like she's good at tea.
So that's the point. Yeah, it's kind of the point of the book. So the book is the female main character. She's from like podunk, middle of nowhere. She's traveling to the palace because she's going to compete in this contest to become a grand tea master to the emperor/empress. So the reason she's doing this is because there's been a rash of tea bricks distributed out to the kingdom, and they've been poisoned. And so, so her family had gotten hold of some of this brick, and her mother and sister drank it, and her mother ended up passing away from it, and her sister is really sick. Yeah.
Okay.
So
are they also are her mom and sister magical?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but so like I said, she's going to do this thing. She's hoping that by winning this event, this tea event, she'll be able to use the influence of being like a tea master and also having the empress's ear, or the princess's ear, to be like, hey, I really want you to help my sister. So that's the purpose of her being in this. But she wasn't ever supposed to be like a tea magic person.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot pronounce what they call the magic tea people, so I'm not even going to try. But
was it a made-up word?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I tried Google Translate, and I tried, highlight and highlight, translate, highlight Wikipedia, and it didn't come up with anything. So maybe I don't know.
Okay.
But most of the book was following the main character through the competition, and then slowly throughout the story you find out that there is treachery afoot.
Oh no.
and I don't want to give any more away with the book.
Yeah, don't give any spoilies.
No, so I don't want to give it. Yep, yeah, that's basically what you're gonna get.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more than like what the description is, but I absolutely loved this book. I gave it like 4.25, 4.5.
Okay.
So, but I really like this book because, like you said, I really like the type of magic she has the ability to do. It's not like you drink, she makes the tea, like you said in your book, like they make the tea, they give it to somebody else, and that person has powers. Like she makes the tea and she's able to do things.
Oh.
She's gifted like extra abilities. Okay. And all these other people are also that way. They make the tea and they, but their abilities are different than hers. She has like a very specific ability that hasn't been seen in a while, is not as common, but it's probably the more powerful and most misunderstood, of course. So, but it was really interesting. It moved at a great pace. The pacing was great. Like none of the parts of the competition felt like they were just there for fluff. Like everything had like a pretty good reason that you found out for. And also the most important thing, the main character, the girl, she was, I didn't find her annoying at all.
Always a positive.
Right. So I think there was a couple parts where I was like, well, that's a little like I'm blanking on the word, but I was like, yeah, I get it. You're young. I would make, maybe you make a silly mistake like that too, or you're too trusting or something like that. But it wasn't overdone and it was great. So I really enjoyed that book.
Okay.
I immediately started the second book, even though I was super tired.
I want to say something real fast because what you just said reminded me like how you are saying like you immediately compare like, yeah, I would make a decision like that in my age or whatever. I feel like you put yourself in all of the characters. And so like if it's not something that you would do, then you immediately are like, well, that's stupid. Where I feel like I do that in like real life books or like fiction books, more like books that are more set in like a real life. Okay. In fantasy, I throw it all out. Nothing matters in fantasy to me. So like I feel like you do it across the board. So I don't know why do I do that?
I don't know.
Okay, so it just clicked for me when you said that because most of the time in fantasy books, it's like a younger lead and they always make terrible decisions.
Maybe it's I'm not comfortable admitting that I'm old. Maybe I just want to be the young heroine still, not the old ass crone with the boys on Apple.
You're the witch in the woods.
No, I don't want to be.
No, I don't. I mean, maybe that's it. You can decide for yourself. But for me, I just feel like I'm in a fantasy world. Nothing matters. Nothing is real.
Yeah. I say this. I'm like, I could do this. And then, at the same time, I'm like, well, is it that bad to be the crone who gets to like hang out in your house and,
you just get to wait for them to come to you and then you get to poison them.
Right. Like, trick. I'm obviously smarter.
That's right. Okay. Sorry. You immediately started the second book.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I immediately started the second book and it was like 11 o'clock at night. I was like, I have to know. I was so tired.
So shocked at you right now. It's like really making me want to read this. Like what duology out there made Nicole do this?
Yes. So, I mean, okay. I did. It was like I said, it was almost 11. I started the second book, but it wasn't enough to keep me awake. Sure. Like 15 minutes later, I was like, like falling asleep. Head dropping, like, so, but I will say that the second book was not as good as the first.
Okay. So I mean, that's fairly common.
Yeah. So I was very sad.
Okay.
It took me a couple days to get through the second book. It's called A Venom Dark and Sweet. Like I said, I immediately started reading it because of the first book, but it was I guess a little bit weird. Maybe I just didn't notice it, but in the second book, the chapters are dual point of view. And I don't think that they were like that in the first book. I was tempted to go back in and like look at that really quick, but I had already returned the books. So I was like, never mind.
Yeah.
I'll just mention it and not remember.
All right.
And I understand the reason that she did it is because like in the second book, all the main characters are scattered throughout different parts of the country. So it makes sense that you have to like delineate that a little bit, but it was just, I wasn't expecting it. It was just weird to start a second book with a different writing style, I guess. Not a killer though, not a book killer. But my goodness, was it slow?
Really?
Yes. Like I know, like this might be another Nicole thing, like with like this, like in a series, it's understandable, but like in series, like the second book, you get to the climax at the end of the first, and then the second one usually doesn't start out at the same point and keep running at the same speed. Yeah. It's always start at a lower and then it builds itself up. I get that, but it started lower and it felt like it stayed there for like 75-80% of the book.
It's like my favorite thing when a follow-on book picks up almost exactly where the other one dropped off. Like it's okay if there's a little bit of a lag or a little bit of a something, but it's like my favorite thing when it picks right up, right where you left me on a cliffhanger. Like don't give me a massive cliffhanger, especially, and then just like the next book you're like 20 years later, like what? Right. Well, or like backtrack. I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, it was very close. It wasn't like there was like years or days or hours in between. It just it took you to the very top, and then I don't want to give it away, but it's like climax, and then everybody separated, and the thumb wasn't on. Or the foot wasn't on the pedal anymore, because everybody was kind of just
doing their own thing,
like there was no, it felt like it lost its urgency.
Okay.
Like I said, so you get to the last like 20-25%, we'll call it, and it felt, and that part was pretty good, but it felt like, that whole first part was just to build up to that.
Yeah.
And the ending wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, or I was expecting. But it wasn't a bad ending. It was still good. And then and I was happy to know how the book ended and how everything finished. Yeah. So I rated this one like 3.5, 4.
Okay.
So
it's still a little disappointing. I'm sad that it didn't just like pick right up for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, this just reinforces my belief that I don't need to do all the second book in a duology.
You're fine with just the first one.
I could just read the first one
and make up the story for yourself.
Exactly.
All right. Well, you have a better imagination than I do then, because I'm just like, I have to know right now, even if it's terrible. Dang it.
Yep.
Okay.
So those are all my books.
Excellent. And was that one also Kindle Unlimited?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, how fun. I'm so glad that you even if you didn't love the second one, I'm just excited that you found one that you were like, yes, I have to jump right in.
Yeah. I just forgot about it until you said it. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, because I was like going to make a comment about how I need to, like, I read all the books and now I'm behind on books this week. I also, in like how much time I had last week, in addition to reading those 4 books / listening, I don't want to say DNF, but saved for later another book. So I started listening. Yeah, I started listening to The Bone Witch, and I got about 6 chapters in because it was free on audio. So I got about 6 chapters in, and I was like, meh, not my vibe. So I just put it to the side. So I'm hoping I'm hoping for that whole like how you feel reading. I'm hoping to come back and but I was just like,
okay, so it's not an official DNF yet. Okay. Okay. All right. Here we go.
Hey, you can hear that way better with that new container.
With the new container.
Yeah.
Okay. It is a favorite one this week. So what is your favorite tropes? So all things tropes, favorites, least favorites.
Nice.
We've talked a lot about tropes in this one.
I know.
So
I like that you said I can do a least favorite trope.
When you're
like favorites, I was like, crap, I have to like things.
I have some least favorite ones for sure.
Nice.
So,
do you want to start with favorites or least favorites?
Favorites.
All right.
Let's go favorites first. So first of all, randomly this week, I saw an article that said there was something like 150 different romance tropes. Like, jeez. What in the world? So that has to be like all the little micro tropes that are underneath like big tropes, because that is ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't understand that. I don't even know if I could list 50.
Right. No, I don't either. I browsed through it and I was like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have cared more.
I wonder if like a lot of them are kind of overlapping. You know what I mean?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. Oh, before you tell me what your favorite trope is, I have a question.
Okay.
Do you think knowing the trope before you go into a book is a spoiler? Like, if it's enemies to lovers, if it's, something like that. Do you think it's a spoiler, or do you like knowing that going in?
I think I appreciate knowing that going in.
Okay.
Like I said, I read how I feel. I would be really sad if I found out that there was a trope in there that I was not a fan of. But
sure.
What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like I have a little bit of conflicting feelings, because I feel like if you're going in, especially if it's like a romance book or a romantasy book or something like that, I feel like it's pretty obvious as soon as you start reading that when these two characters hate each other, they're probably going to get together later. Yeah. Specifically with enemies to lovers, and then the same with like friends to lovers and the like all that kind of stuff. I feel like some of that's pretty obvious.
Right. Yeah.
But I also get what you're saying, because there are some that I don't like, and I like knowing it before I choose to read a book. But I don't know. I feel like that sometimes it can be a little bit of a spoily. I don't know. I guess
they list like every single one.
Yeah.
It almost gives away the whole plot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I can expect this to happen. I can expect this to happen.
Yeah. I get that.
All right. Tell me what your favorite tropes are.
Oh, shit.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I like, was it Sunny versus Grumpy?
Oh, Grumpy Sunshine.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I like that one.
I think that one is my favorite.
Yeah, it's
like when it comes
cute.
to romance, I think Grumpy Sunshine might be my favorite.
Yeah, it's super cute.
Mm-hmm.
I just trying to think of other books. I really like, maybe because it was different than anything, like Divine Rivals is like pen pal.
Oh yeah,
one of them is secret.
Mm-hmm.
I
think that's a trope. Yeah,
and then we'll call it a trope. It's a trope here. If we can, if anything's a trope, this is a trope. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I read it in the 150 tropes.
Right.
There you go.
Even if you didn't, you did now.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is it called? I don't want to mess this up. Let me think here.
Okay.
It's 2-person love triangle. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
It's where it's like mistaken identity.
Oh.
So the one person is like, I love this person, but also this person, but he or she doesn't know
the same person.
It's the same person.
Okay.
It's like, you know, Superman and Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Yes. 2-person love triangle.
I don't think I've ever like heard it put that way.
I love it. Not only for the name, but I just like, I just like the book, that stuff too. So
yeah.
But
okay. Is that those are your favorites?
Yes.
Oh, I have so much more.
Okay. Oh, all right.
I feel like, well, okay, so Grumpy Sunshine is at the top for me. I've recently found that that I really enjoy that one. I also like Friends to Lovers. I think that's really fun and cute when that happens. I also enjoy second chance romances.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think I've said this before. I know I've said it to you. You know what? I'm gonna save it.
Okay.
Saving this one.
All right.
I'm gonna write down what you said though.
Okay.
Is it second chance?
Yeah, second chance.
Okay. I'm writing this down because I'm gonna bring it up later.
Okay. I also like the I don't know if they're like my favorites, but like the fake dating and the forced proximity ones. I just I think they're the fake dating ones specifically because like you know what's going to happen, right? They always end up together.
Right.
But I just kind of like to see some of the antics sometimes. I don't like it when it takes too long for them to like accept it. I feel like that's you guys are being ridiculous. And then forced proximity is just funny to me because sometimes like they act wild because they're like, oh, we have to be here with each other. And then I don't know if these are tropes, but like dual timelines, I feel like if that's a trope, I enjoy a dual timeline, like when it's jumping back and forth telling a story.
Okay.
Yeah, from like here's some pieces of the past that feed into what is happening now. Okay. And then I also enjoy an unreliable narrator. I like especially when it comes to mysteries. So like mystery books, when you can't necessarily trust the narrator, I feel like it lends itself to bigger like twists and stuff in the end because you're like, oh shit, I didn't know you were lying to me this whole time.
Interesting. Yeah.
So yeah, I like those.
That's cool. Yeah, I've never heard it. I guess I've never read a book or listened to a book with an unreliable narrator.
Oh,
so
if you don't listen to mysteries, I feel like that's
what's the purpose?
I feel like mysteries are probably more so of where you find the unreliable narrators, but probably just some like regular fiction books too. It's less so in like fantasy stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's like that saying, like, there's your story, there's my story, and there's the real story. So, yeah.
Yep. All right. Ones that you do not like.
Well, initially off the top of my head, because you said it and I wrote it down. You said you like second chance.
You don't like those?
I don't dislike them, but I don't like when the reason the leads are enemies is because of like something that turns out to be a simple misunderstanding.
Oh, a miscommunication trope. That is one of my least favorite.
Yes, and I feel like that happens under the umbrella of second chance.
Okay.
So not so much, but we're talking umbrella here.
See, I don't see it the same. I'm looking at second chance like not necessarily that you guys had some sort of falling out where you didn't communicate. It's like maybe your circumstances changed and now you have this second chance to like be together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or whatever. So because if it's a miscommunication, I hate it. it's done. It's so annoying.
Yeah, like if you just chose not to have an adult conversation, like you deserve this. Like,
yeah.
So,
do you have more?
I can't think of any off the top of my head because I know I've done a lot of pet peeves today.
Oh yeah.
So like maybe that just counts. If you say more and I think of another one,
I definitely have more.
I'll jump right in.
Okay.
That's the initial off the top of my head. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I only know these because I've like read some within this year where I'm like, oh yeah, I don't like that. Where I probably had it not been like because of some of those books that I read this year, I wouldn't really know it. But one is the single dad nanny trope.
That's
fucking
right.
hate it.
You hated that
I hate
book.
it. Yes. It feels and people love that. Like they love the single dad trope. I don't. It feels predatory. Like you were a 40-year-old man and you brought in this 22-year-old nanny to come watch your kids, and then now all of a sudden you like love her. I don't know. It's not my thing. And then also with that, this is really funny. I don't really like age gap. But in real life, in fantasy books, I don't fucking care. You can be 1,200 years old and she's like 25 and then they fall in love. Totally fine. But like the age gap in the real life books, I don't like it. I'm
glad you walked that back because I was about to be like, no. Like, we just talked about this.
I know. I'm telling you, in fantasy books, I let a lot of things go. And then, another one I recently realized that I'm not into is the why choose. So it's basically like, she likes 3 men. Why choose? Have them all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think
you're not into the reverse harem.
Right. Like gotcha. I'm fine if that's what you're into. Good for you. I just don't personally. I like having the like, oh, I fell in love and like whatever. I not like free love.
All right. So no flowers and peace signs for Vanessa.
Exactly.
Okay, fine.
So yeah, I think that's my list. Did I trigger any for you?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, but I did, like while you were talking, I did look at my phone and peruse. Like, what else am I missing here? There was one that made me giggle inside, and it kind of goes back to what you just said. The like 3 baby daddy or whatever, you know, whatever that one. Sleeps with everyone but you.
Yes.
I didn't even know that was a trope. Apparently
I didn't know that was a trope either, but like, is that like a jealous? I don't know.
I don't know, but I saw it and I was like, that's weird. I've never heard of that one. I don't know if I've read a book like that, so I'm going to keep an eye out.
Great.
I'm going to keep an eye out for sleeps with everyone but you trope romance. If anybody has any suggestions, please let me know because I have to figure out what this is about.
Okay. I don't know if I love that one. All right. Well, I think we've done it. So go to our Instagram. What are we at? Oh, Savor the Story Pod on Instagram.
Where are we?
Who? And then you can tell us what your favorite tropes are and tropes that you hate there. I'll put a question in our stories. And then you can go to our website and send us a message there, savorthestorypod.com. Send us all your thoughts and feelings about books and snacks and whatever else you want to give us. And follow us on whatever platform you're listening on so that you are notified when a new one goes up every Sunday. And there also may be more coming soon on top of those. And then rate us on your favorite platform. Give us 5 stars.
Yes, don't feel bad about giving us 5 stars like we feel bad about giving books 5 stars. We are not books. We are people.
That's right. Give us people the 5 stars. And that's it. We are done.
That's it. And I will tell you that I still don't have an outro. I was thinking about it this weekend and I was like, how long can I get away with just being like, no outro, get out of here.
Forever.
Skedaddle. Be gone with you. Come back next week.
Okay, bye.